Hey, what's up, WCR? This is Orange back again for another audio. And today, I'm going to do one I promised a while ago and then got screwed over by the patch. The Mass Towers audio. Yay! So, get the replay paused at the 45-second mark. I haven't played many Mass Towers games yet this patch, so unfortunately this is the best I could do. The guy's a decent player, I guess. I mean, you don't really have to be good to Mass Towers and to be able to do it properly. But yeah, whatevs. Anyways, the map is Secret Valley, so obviously it's not the biggest map. It could have been on something like Knollwood, which is a little more difficult, but the mechanics remain the same, and you just have to make one simple modification to make things a little easier. And then, yeah, it's basically a pretty easy strat to beat, because almost 99% of the time they shouldn't be able to beat you while they're outside of their base. So, yeah. If my voice sounds really shitty, it's because I'm actually getting over food poisoning. So, just ignore it, and it'll go away eventually, I hope. Anywho, 45-second mark and unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. So as I said, this is only part 1 because my last one I had like undead versus human, orc versus human, elf versus orc, and I believe I had undead versus orc as well, doing the Mass Towers against the bat riders and stuff. So yeah, this will only be part 1. I don't know when part 2 will come. I haven't really laddered much recently. Been busy with my job. I work at a paint place, so basically I will answer paint questions. Not that you will probably have any, but whatever. It's an option. So you'll notice I'm going Warden. Warden's exceptionally good on this map for 2 reasons. First of all, there's the Fountain of Health. And second, versus human, I almost find it pretty much necessary to go Warden, just because of the fact that it's the only way you'll actually be able to chase down the Archmage if you both have a Boots of Speed, just because Shadow Strike will reduce movement speed. And yeah, you'll see it comes in handy. I don't get the Boots of Speed, neither does he, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure if I don't get Boots of Speed. Whatever. Sorry, I haven't watched this game recently, and I played it like a week ago. But whatever. So the Warden pops out, and the first thing I'm going to do is just scout around with my Warden / Wisp, and I'm going to make sure that he's not creeping any easy greens, because if he is, I can just jack him and try and get a water elemental kill, or I'll just do some damage to his Archmage / footies. Depends what I get my hands on, really. You'll notice I'm doing a Huntress build, and my base build isn't fantastic, but whatevs. So here's what I do. I get the first peasant kill, and then I'm like, well, I might as well just cruise around. Most people will creep this orange out first, the one I'm going to with the Overseers. But I didn't see an Archmage, which was odd, so I camp around by the barracks and wait for the footy to come out so I can chase him around. Now, at this point I should have actually been using my Wisp to scout to make sure he's not expoing, but whatever. I go for the Shadow Strike on the Peasant. I figure why not. I'll get the kill eventually. Might as well do some damage now. So I chase this footy and then I go, oh, he probably has a fast expo. It's a good thing I sent my Wisp earlier. So I show up, and the first thing I'm going to do is take way too much damage on my Warden. Don't do this, which is basically run through all his stuff and then go for the kill. I get a little over-aggressive here, and I get on the risky side of things, but I live. Barely. And what I do is I actually split up my Warden and my Huntress into 2 groups, and I basically, alternate on harassing the peasants. Which I find is the best option to do. I should be teching right now. Yeah, that'll happen soon. Whatever. So, the one thing I like about the Warden is with the Demon Hunter, all you would be able to do is mana burn, and it gets a little difficult to actually pick off things like footies. And that's why I like the Warden. because whenever he steps out of his base, you can actually threaten him with a unit kill or something, as opposed to just a mana burn, which isn't as painful. I mean, you can lower their hero's HP, but whatever. That's just the way I play. I generally go Warden versus Human, especially because most of the time they're mass towers. And Warden kicks ass against mass towers, just because Fan of Knives is ownage and stuff like that. So, what to say? You'll notice he hasn't teched yet, and I know he's not going to tech for a while, just because, you know, he's already building 2 towers at his expo, and he's expoing. So obviously, it's going to be a little more difficult for him to actually get his tech going fairly quickly. Now, the only problem with going Huntress is they take a lot of damage, which is why they're especially good on this map, because you can actually use the Fountains of Health. So, that's beautiful. And at this point in time, I actually get him in a little bit of a problem, because I'll wake up the creeps eventually and hide. I believe, yeah, I lost to Huntress. That sucked. But the one adaptation that you make for the large maps is actually what you do is you get the Sentinel upgrade for your Huntress, and then what you do is you plant the Sentinels kind of around where your base is, like paths they would take to get to your base, obviously, and then either places they would expo, you can always camp things like wisps there. That's a little different, but that was a waste of a Shadow Strike. But yeah, basically what you do is you use more wisps and sentinels to scout. I don't use sentinels this game because it's not really necessary. And my strategy is basically playing amazingly offensive in terms of whenever he comes out of his base, you attack him. And then you basically just creep around his base. And I wake up the creeps again, just because I can. And I find it hilarious that he kind of sticks around and lets a couple footies get beaten on. But whatevs. So I'm almost tier 2. Oh, I am tier 2, basically. And I'm already getting ready to get my panda. That's a little foresight, I guess. Come on, get the panda. 3, 2, 1. There we go. So what I do is I do the Warden Panda, and basically what you do with the strategy is you beat down pretty much every building that's out of range of towers, and you just own him whenever he steps out of his base. That's as simple as I can make this strategy for you guys. But the great thing about it is what you do is you go dual Ancients of Lore, and then your only problem will actually be something like a Mass Knight strategy, which with the Knight buff, it becomes a little more difficult to actually do. But whatever. Basically, if you scout Knights, just set up an Ancient of Wind, and with the bears that you already have, you should be able to beat them off by the time you get Chimera. And then you not only have siege units, but you also have stuff that will beat his Knights. So, you'll notice I'm not being super aggressive right now. I'm just setting up my tier 2 buildings. And the reason I'm not being aggressive right now is because my Warden's a little weak. And, yeah, I don't want to lose my Warden. So, more about this strategy. Trying to think. I'm going to be setting up an expo. I'm pre-building it, basically. And the reason that you go Panda and Warden, actually, is because if they try and repair stuff, you can actually own their peasants in, like, 2 or 3 seconds. And then they won't be able to repair unless they want to lose more peasants. So, it's a pretty good hero combo, in my opinion. You will notice that he's actually going with a bunch of rifles instead of going footies. Reason being I'm going Huntress, obviously. But really doesn't prove to be much of a challenge just because the Warden rapes rifles pretty hard. So does the Panda. And yeah, the basics of this strategy is you don't want to go Dryads because obviously they're going to be going rifles, as seen in this case. And then what you do is you go straight bears. What a pro staff. Could have actually waited a little longer, but whatever. So, pretty much every